What is something that Gen Z isn't ready to hear yet? The sound of the ancients, at long last rising from their slumber to bathe the world in blood and flame. They are not ready to hear the wailing of the unworthy, the cries of the innocent, the pleading of the cravens before the inevitable. They are not prepared for the sound of the very earth beneath their feet, cracking open to consume them in roaring fire. They are not prepared for the sound of the heavens tearing asunder, spilling forth monstrosities of which they did not know they dreamed. If they were ready they would rejoice, but they are not yet ready to hear their own laughter. I think they're ready to hear it all. The youngest Gen Z should be 11 or 12 right now. They should be able to hear that their future is fucked. Their childhoods were experiments for the social media machine and that it will likely have long-lasting damage that many of them will struggle with. Most of them were failed by a decaying school system. They're pioneers of a generation that has a lot to lose, more so than any other generation in my opinion. Truth is we failed them as a society and they should be ready to hear that it's strictly their fault and not the ones that came before them. Experiencing a moment of acute stress doesn't mean you're having a panic attack, trust me. Paying attention to organization or cleanliness doesn't mean you have OCD. Zoning out occasionally doesn't mean you disassociate. Having a mildly unpleasant experience doesn't mean you've been traumatized. Feeling uncomfortable or offended in any given situation doesn't mean you've been triggered. And speaking of triggers, it's ultimately your job to manage them. Also, people who wear makeup, please leave your eyebrows alone and ease up on the bronzer. Your ears don't match your face. You can't really identify yourself as toaster, stick, or anything else. Grow up. Relationship isn't always 50-50. Sometimes you gotta give more and sometimes she. What matters is both are trying to put equal efforts. Men and women aren't equal when it comes to physical strength and some other stuff. With hard work, you may defy. Generally in some fields women are exceptionally great and in some, men are. The more you try to show yourself as a gender superior than other, the more hate there will be, and yes I stopped watching prank channels, they really DK stuffs. Not everything that makes you quirky means you're autistic. Sure, the spectrum is wide. But as a parent to a high-functioning 25-year-old son, anxiety, depression are serious things and it takes more than saying you're worried and bummed out to be diagnosed. It took years for my son to be officially diagnosed because when he was younger the mechanisms within the school systems to recognize it were not in place. It wasn't until a mention of suicide in class in 6th grade after moving to a new state triggered everyone that we were able to find a clear road to diagnosis. You're not as special as you think you are. Actions have consequences, dumb actions have dire consequences. Learn to be accountable for what you do, no matter how small or big that is. Facts doesn't care about your feelings. Opinions are subjective and cannot be used as facts. You'd be surprised how live and let live is a healthy way to go through life. If you feel the urge to constantly enforce your own beliefs on others, the problem might be more with you than them. Using a tablet all your life does not make you tech savvy enough for the workplace. Software tools such as Excel, PowerPoint, SQL or equivalent reporting software, email etiquette filtering, and Linux commands all take time and effort to use well. To be fair, colleges don't prepare them at all. I'm still pissed my degree in management information systems didn't have proper classes on Excel formulas. Related article. I feel like a boomer saying this, but not everything that makes you uncomfortable is a slight or microaggression. Also, polyamory goes both ways and hookup culture puts strain on certain relationships, friendships. I feel like Gen Z wants complete sex positivity to the point of freely being able to do what they want and have zero emotional effort into it. I'm all for sex positivity, but learn how it can feel emotionally and how it plays into different friendship dynamics. You're not smarter or dumber than your elders. Not a single young person likes to hear this. Life experience is invaluable, listen to people that have been around the block. Even if they made mistakes, that only makes their advice more valuable. More money doesn't make you happier. Once you are able to take care of your responsibilities with even a small amount of disposable income, more money and more things will not solve any underlying issues that you have. You're not cool for not feeling as much attraction to someone as they have for you. Y'all live in a sensitive little bubble where the thought of rejection or even mild heartbreak is so unthinkable that you don't let yourself feel genuine human attraction. You're so obsessed with being unfazed and chasing the bag that you're just as soulless and obsessed with money as the CEOs you claim you stand against. Only difference is you're not as successful. You're most likely going to have a real job alongside being a content creator. I want to say that I think it's awesome and wonderful how much niche content is being made and shared because of passions people have. But you're still going to have to go out there and go to work even if it's doing something you enjoy. Don't fall into the trap of trying to turn a hobby into a career. You'll end up resenting what you once loved. You're going to see a lot of pushback against liberal policies and will see a rise of conservatism, not just in the US but in the entire world. That doesn't mean conservatives are vile, that just means they have a completely different set of morals, and yours isn't necessarily the right one that will sustain a society or that everyone should follow. I'm saying this as a liberal guy who has voted Democrat in previous elections. For those that are raising kids, you saying yes and giving them everything they want and shoving them in front of screens is not doing your kids any good. There right now is a generation of kids that have no clue what the word no is. They are expecting instant gratification and have no imagination. They get into school and freak out because they don't get their way. The real world is not always going to be what you want. Be careful what you post on social media in general, especially if you don't fully understand the context, particularly social and political issues. Society's views change like the direction of wind sometimes, and often yours will too. You can get badly caught out down the line. The amount of people over the years that I've worked with casually known that have had old posts come back to haunt them is surprising. If and when a major conflict kicks off, any idea that the current generation are progressive paragons of virtue will evaporate. We talk about Roosevelt like a monster for putting Japanese Americans in camps during the war, but I'm utterly convinced that this generation would happily do the same thing to Chinese or Russian Americans during World War III, especially if it doesn't go too well and people start being drafted. Life is hard. Competition, hard work, challenges, stress, confronting reality, being told like it is are what will help you succeed in life. Stop avoiding the hard things. And stop using self-diagnosed buzzwords as an excuse to avoid hard things. Also, validating yourself and your thoughts through social media likes is absolutely the most inaccurate metric used to everything. We all thought we'd be the generation that solved all the world's problems, and then when the chips were down realized we were, in fact, also part of the problem. Is Gen Z now being replaced by Gen Alpha? What is the arbitrary cutoff we're now working to? Never heard this term before this thread, but the concept of being entirely untested sounds more like a diss than a compliment. You want to abolish all the things, before you've actually figured out how to replace any of it. That presages chaos, and people very much do not like chaos. The world will turn on you in a heartbeat, in a way that is unfathomable to you, if you get rid of a thing you thought was horrible but people were used to and replace it with nothing that is disruptive to said people. Science doesn't change based on the way you feel. I'm a liberal and a progressive, but some of the shit that comes out of their mouth with the expectation that their opinion feelings should be facts. No kids. I'm all for you changing the way the world works, but some facts are irrefutable. And science, while not always static, doesn't change based on your current trendy opinion. Not only will you get told and uncool, your clock is already ticking. I found with my own generation, millennial, that right around when you think the process starts is actually about when it ends. I have a 2-year-old son, and I promise you I don't give a flying fuck about what Gen Z thinks is trendy right now. Many people are already looking past you to what's next. You don't have to dislike someone because they disagree with you on something. Differences generate conversation, debate, growth, and understanding between people. Surrounding yourself with people who have the exact same opinions as you is just an echo chamber, and is one of the big reasons why there are so many divisions in the world today. All your weird insistence on zero tolerance for people who are meeting progressive standards is going to bite you in the ass one day. One day you'll be in your 40s and a video of you questioning whether transracial is a thing will surface. Cancelled. And you'll deserve it because you gave zero leeway to the generations preceding you. 2 things. 1. One day, you will wake up with unexplained aches and pains and wonder why the younger generation isn't like your generation was when you were younger. Then you'll remember that your parents went through the same damn thing. Life goes on, you're no more special than anyone else. 2. Social media is not reality. Just a few come to mind are: that forgetting history ensures it will be repeated. Tearing down statues ensures they'll be built again. Giving everyone a special label destroys the uniqueness you're trying to honor. Yes, you do need a doctor for a diagnosis, even if you can use the internet. You're all infantilized. The world is a hard place. Demanding that the world change to suit your needs won't work long term. Make a plan, make sacrifices, and work toward goals over the long term. And don't worry, they were saying the same about millennials 15 years ago. And then we grew up. They're going to be cringe and out of style one day too. Gen Alpha will take their place. They will be where millennials are, and they'll be the ones getting ridiculed for how they act and what they wear or whatever. I think some of them believe they're immune from that lol. You'll not see a dime of social security because it will be insolvent. Hopefully you can vote in people that will help restore it for you, but you need to vote the minute you are able, and continue doing so even through the annoyance of voter suppression. As much as we will try, the millennial generation Gen X will not be able to fix all of the shit the boomers have pulled or contribute to pull. This will bleed over into your generation. Please close this circle and don't let this crap continue. It's not the older generation's faults that you're not finding success in life without actually trying to do anything. No one is going to hand you success in $1 billion. If you want something in life, work for it and don't screw around. That you can call Gen Xers as much as you want, but we own all the houses, have great pensions, are your shitty bosses making the good bonuses, and will probably live well into our 80s. Also, we drink and fuck like you wouldn't believe. The real world is pretty damn cruel and unforgiving. Most people are only focusing on themselves and trying to get through their day, and they really don't care about you, your opinion, or whatever the latest thing is to be outraged about. 1. You will not get anywhere in life if you continue this "I have no respect for anything or anyone" attitude. 2. Most of you completely deserve your endless misfortune because you refuse to acknowledge the statement listed above. You need to speak up. This is a Target, not a Billie Eilish album. If you feel uncomfortable answering the phone, then quit your job right now or get used to it like us olds did. You don't know shit about technology. Social media is a validation tool designed only to engage you. Learn to use words contextually. Calling someone boomer when they disagree with your sometimes immature and entitled worldview is just being a cunt.